Did you know that Goa got its first printing press in the year 1556? All thanks to the work of the Jesuit missionaries way back then. We look at the contribution of the Jesuits down the centuries, and for that we are here at the Xavier Center to meet Father Rinald to find out more about their contribution to Goa. When did the Jesuits arrive in Goa, and if you can tell us a little bit about their arrival?
To begin with, the Jesuit order as such was founded in 1540, and right then after it was founded in that sense, institutionally, you have Francis Xavier, one of the co-founders, right here in 2 years on 6 May 1542 that he is in Goa. Xavier was not the man that was meant to come to Goa. It was just it was at the very end that Bobadilla, one of the companions, there was Simao and Bobadilla, who was Nicola Bobadilla, who was supposed to come, and for whatever reason he cannot make it, and then he gets him into the boat. It is such a chance encounter that Xavier comes all this way, and that we have Xavier in Goa. So that's what brings Xavier to Goa, and with Xavier starts the Jesuit presence in Goa.
What happened once Francis came to Goa and his work and began, and the work that the Jesuits continued after him?
Xavier's presence in Goa, first of all, you also have to imagine that he came really as the sole representative of the Jesuit at that time. And he also exerted a lot of power in that sense because he was a representative of the king. In spite of the positions he held, he chose, for example, to go and stay at the hospital to administer over there to the inmates. What popular accounts tell us is also that he went about and taught catechism to school children. He has done such work. But also you have to see later on, as the Jesuits would come, as successive missionaries would come to Goa, and this province would expand in that sense, that Goa would really become the center of the missionary activity in India, but also in the East, for example. The work of the Jesuits after that, of course, many think this is another popular illusion that goes by, for example, that Xavier brought Christianity to Goa. But there's so much of archaeological evidence, also a lot through the research of Father Cosmic from Bellard, for example, that shows even with the finding of the Thomas Cross in Goa, for example, that Christianity in Goa predates Francis Xavier. Yes, but Francis Xavier and the Jesuits in a way got Christianity, propagated Christianity to a great extent. It's true that the south of Goa was somewhere where the Jesuits worked, for example. And you can see the work of the Jesuits, mainly you can see through the architecture, for example, that is there. It was mainly work that was meant of catechetical work, but also in the along with this came also a lot of cultural productions, say for example, so much that was contributed towards company. That was their works that were done, company grammars. You have Thomas Stephens, who wrote this epic Krista Purana. It is in a mix of Konkani and Marathi. They contributed to civic building, the Potter Bridge, and that extends up till Ribandar, was not something that was built by the Jesuits, but they were invited, for example, for the supervision of that construction.
No doubt that Jesuit contribution, to Goa's culture has been immense. In fact, you all came out with a very beautiful compilation on the contribution towards the arts recently. If you could give us a little insight on what was the Jesuit contribution towards the arts that we see, around us and all the churches across Goa.
Yeah. This was a book that was produced called The Jesuits Goa in the Arts. And in fact, this book was meant to commemorate the twin jubilees of Francis Xavier and Ignatius of Loyola. They were canonized in 1622, and this book was meant to be released in 2022. So, in a way, to commemorate the canonization. And one of the ways that we felt that we could commemorate with this was to looking at the very enchanting art that exists in Goa, especially the architecture that exists in Goa. But of course, there were other reasons that we also wanted to produce this book. It was not just in a way to celebrate them, but was also to look at the heritage that was there in Goa. For example, also invite researchers to look, and the public also to look at our own art and to bring this, to limelight, for example. So what you really see over here in the book, this was really thanks to this excellent photography, basically of David De Souza, who has photographed for this volume. You come across a lot of Francis Xavier over here, especially, for example, over here at the Basilica. That's Ignatius, by the way, at the altar. Although some people popularly call him Francis Xavier. And as you turn, you can see the artistic production over here. This is not artistic production of the Jesuits themselves, but this was the artistic production of what you must say, Goans, of how local craftsmen participated in producing this art that was inspired in a way by Jesuit practices. For example, over here, there's this very fine dough, for example, that you see. This is this dough that you find of the sacristy of the Basilica over there. And on that, you find four characters in this sense. You find Ignatius of Loyola and Francis Xavier. And they are often compared to Saint Peter and Saint Paul. And the reason that they are compared to these two saints is because of who they were. So in a way that Saint Peter was the head of the Catholic Church. He was in a way the first pope in that sense. And Saint Ignatius of Loyola is compared to him. That he was the founder of the order. And here Saint Francis Xavier is compared to Saint Paul because of the missionary endeavors in terms of how they went out.
Horticulturalist Miguel Braganza will now give us a little insight on the Jesuit contribution to agriculture.
In Goa, the Jesuits established a college, and also they started publishing books on agriculture. The Artha Palmarica, the book on the cultivation of coconut, as was the cutting edge technology then, is recorded in this book by the Jesuits. They have contributed to a lot other plants also, including the introduction of plants from different missions of theirs to Goa. And from Goa it has spread to different places. It wouldn't be wrong to say that even the chilies may have come with them. So also the cashew, because they were the scientists of the church.
If you love your poi with your breakfast, you have the Jesuits to thank for that. Dr. Maria Lourdes de Bravo da Costa Rodrigues offers insights into the social contribution of the Jesuits in Goa.
When I'm in social and cultural aspect, I'm talking about food, where they have introduced the technique of bread making, and also the curry making. Because the prawn curry, I was told, in Salsette was introduced by the Jesuits, and because they were quite in Salsette they were quite prominent religious order. And then another contribution of theirs is for technology. When I mean technology, I'm talking about the grafting of mangoes, which was introduced by them, and that's the reason why we have so many varieties of mangoes today, and also of better quality. Then we have another technology, which is a printing technology, which was introduced by the Jesuits in 1556 at Old Goa in St. Paul's College. And that technique of printing is mechanical printing, because we had block printing in China before that. So that was another very important contribution to the society and to the cultural history of Goa.